Everyone, welcome to another episode of Sawdust Talk. Let's go! Some technical difficulties to start off the night. We've got Willow Ash joining us. We've got Kyle from Hayden's Custom Wood Shop. We have got an awesome episode lined up for you guys. Let's get Ash back in here. What's up, Alyssa? How you doing? Woo! Can you see me now? That's the real question.
Yes. Hi.
That's much better.
Can you hear me?
Oh no. Okay, now I can hear you and I can see you. So that's good.
Okay, hang on. Let me take this. Is this better?
I can hear you and I can see you.
Okay, great.
I'm repping your hat tonight, all right? Yeah, so we'll get our other guest host in, Kyle from Hayden's Custom Wood Shop, in here in a little bit. But, kick us off. Tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, how you got into woodworking, that sort of stuff.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm Ashley. I'm currently in Montreal, but actually I'm relocating to Kingston, Ontario this summer. Um, Woodworking was a hobby of mine, but I'm slowly turning it into like my job. But I work for the government as a job, but I um, got into woodworking incredibly randomly. My husband is in the military and used to go away a lot,
Okay.
and which means that I would get bored really easily. I
Right.
mean, like prior to 2017, the only power tool I'd ever used was a drill, and it was always under like constant supervision. I was not often trusted with power tools,
Right.
for good reason. And then I just randomly decided to build this apothecary with plans that I got using a friend's borrowed circular saw. I made a lot of mistakes, but I still have that piece in my home because it's my baby. Um,
That's
and
incredible. So
yeah,
you
and,
made that
and
with a
it just
circular
kind of
saw, you said?
ev- everything using a circular saw, no jig. I didn't even know what a jig was. I would have
Oh my
assumed it was
gosh.
like, oh yeah, it was wild. It was just a circular saw and a hammer. I didn't even use a drill for that project.
That's impressive. That's
I
really
mean,
impressive.
I did saw through a metal sawhorse.
We
Um,
all make mistakes, right?
I was cutting through and I had the circular saw and I was like, oh, it must be a really bad knot. And I just kept going. And then I heard this
Don't stop,
massive
right?
clank. It's a miracle I didn't set the house on fire.
That's amazing. That sounds
Good grief.
sounds like you learned from your mistake though, so that's good.
Yes, no more sawhorses, but I mean, I've wrecked a couple more things, but thankfully, like, I haven't let sparks fly since. So,
So all those new designs that you make, what do you do those on? Is that like scroll saw, or do you manually cut those out still, or?
yeah, so everything is done on my scroll saw. I don't have a CNC or laser. I'd love to have a laser, but I mean, that's like way in the future. Um, So everything is done on my scroll saw, and that's kind of where I found my niche in the past 3 years, probably. I just watched a lot of scroll saw artists on Instagram, and I was mind blown by what they were making. And I found this almost new DeWalt scroll saw on Facebook Marketplace. Um, Went into this really creepy guy's basement to go get it, like miracle I'm even alive kind of thing. Like I was
Yeah,
going down to his dark
that's
basement thinking
sketchy,
like this
yeah.
is it. I I will be unalived getting a scroll saw. This is how I go. Um Thankfully it was fine-ish. Got the scroll saw. And the rest, like I'm just really learning as I go. I mean, I got my scroll saw while I was pregnant with my son, and
Okay.
you don't do a lot while you're pregnant or with a new baby.
Right.
Um, so most of what I've made has actually been in the past 2 years, and I love it. I'm always trying to find new ways to I don't know, make something new with it. If I look like I'm freezing, I am. I'm gonna have to turn on my heater.
Oh no,
Yeah.
what's the weather up there?
I I think it's like 7 degrees Celsius outside. You guys run on Fahrenheit. I have no idea what that is, but it's really cold.
That's
Um,
fair. If I
we
could,
had grass. We just got a massive dumping of snow. There we go. Hang on. There. Okay, we're all set.
so it's like 45 degrees there, which that's not terrible.
It's not terrible. It's just a little chilly, and
Yeah.
I was not prepared.
No, that's fair. I mean, I'm in a hoodie too. It's plenty cold here, so I get it. Yeah, no, that's awesome though. So, how old's your
See,
son? You
they
said.
said here 7 degrees is cold. Sorry.
How old's your little one?
So my son William is 2.5, and I also have my daughter Olivia who just turned 8 months old. So two little babies, which means that 100% of my woodworking is done post bedtime. Like, and
That's
kind
awesome.
of pending on if anyone is sick or if anyone is crying. It all just kind of goes by that. I mean, it's just a lot of running in and out of the house.
Right, right. No,
Um,
I know the feeling
but
because I've got two little ones myself, and I do the same thing, right? Like, I've got a full-time day job, and like at night, this is where I come and get my shop time in. So, I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old now.
oh
And yeah, same thing. Like, if they're sick, you're like, I am not getting any sleep, not getting any work done. It's terrible. So,
yeah,
yeah, I know the struggle.
absolutely. Oh man, they keep you on your toes.
Definitely, definitely. So, what's your favorite thing that you've made so far?
It's bias. I think my favorite thing I've made is probably my daughter Olivia's sign. Um, I had the design made by Jess at the Living Timber Co. So but
Oh, right, right.
yeah, she designed it and then I scrolled it out and it's it was a lot of new challenges for me. So I really like that one, but I don't know. I feel like I'm still trying to like dip my toes into the scrolling world, so I'm trying a lot of different things. So I haven't really like lately everyone wants a portrait and that's really fun. Like those, but I don't know if this happens to you, but I know with me if I do the same thing too many times, I'm like, "Oh, okay, like I need to get out of there, do something new." Like I'm
Right, right.
so I'm like doing this logo right now that I think is just so cool. And it's kind of stepping away from portraits for a hot minute. Like I feel like I'm like a pinball sometimes, like bouncing off the wall with what I'm interested in.
Right, right.
Thankfully, it's in the same scroll saw world, because if not, this hobby would be way too expensive.
It gets expensive in a hurry.
Oh my God, does it ever? Yeah, you gotta build up as you go. Um, but can I show you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to.
So I just finished priming this yesterday, so I think that this one's pretty cool so far. So it's just primer, but I think this guy's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
It's
That
like,
is really cool. I'm
yeah,
impressed.
I love that it's all like one piece. When I got this logo from my friend, I was like, oh, I was just super pumped that she asked me to make that. So that's probably the one I'm most excited about, and it's going to involve some standoffs and stuff. So,
Right.
um,
That's cool.
yeah,
I mean, that
yeah,
like
I'm
that's it's
excited.
so impressive that it like holds together and stuff like that. Like, I mean, that terrifies me to cut out like huge inner circles like that. Like, I'm not there yet.
And it's funny because it's kind of like a quick like side note. When I cut those out or any like small details like that, I always have to put on like a movie or something like that in my earbuds. I can't
Yeah.
just be looking at what I'm doing because I feel too much pressure from it and
Oh,
I'll
right.
stop breathing while scrolling. And I can distinctively remember what I was listening to or like watching with every piece that I look at.
Oh, no kidding. That's cool.
So like I know I was watching Step Brothers and it was the karate scene when I was making this sign. So now whenever I look at it, I just think like, do you want to go do karate in the garage?
That is amazing. I mean, that's impressive too. That you like remember every movie, every scene. Like, that's cool. So that's a good note. Any tips for any people who are trying to get into scroll sawing?
Oh my goodness. Get yourself a half decent scroll saw right out of the gate. But buy one that's used. You don't need to get one that's new. And I think I know for me, starting with the DeWalt really helped me really fall in love with it because I didn't have to struggle with a tool and then spend even more money on a brand new tool.
Right.
Um, and I also started using like really good blades right out of the gate. Um, I had a friend who's from my hometown who just started scrolling, and I mailed her the Bearwoods Pegasus modified geometry blades because I was like, you
Oh,
can't start
nice.
scrolling without these. You're not going to enjoy the process because it's
Right.
this tiny little saw, and it can go so badly so quickly, and I know that from experience.
Right. Right. No, that I mean that's
Um,
cool, and completely agree on the geometry ones from Pegasus. Those are awesome.
oh man, like that's those are the best ones, like bar none. I had some dual ones that came with my scroll saw, and oof,
I mean,
not the
I would
best.
even echo your sentiment on like buying a good saw to start out. Like, I mean, especially used if you can find it. Like, I started out with like a cheap Len, and just it was a nightmare and just like headache after headache. Like, and I was like, oh, I really like this, but also like this is terrible at the same time. So I upgraded the Pegasus and like, oh my god, like it makes you fall in love with it all over again and like
Oh
so much better.
man. That's my big goal. Like, I think next year that'll be my big goal. If we weren't moving, I'd probably make that this year's goal of like getting a Pegasus. Um, did I have to ask, did you believe the Bearwoods account when they did the April Fool's joke that they were coming out with, I think like a 40-inch
Yeah,
scroll
it was
saw?
something crazy, wasn't it? Yeah, no, I didn't believe it, but I had seen a bunch of like April Fool's stuff that day, and I was like, oh, another one. Like, gosh. But I mean, honestly, like,
I
it wouldn't be
totally fell for it.
surprising either, right? Like, I mean, if you want to do big pieces, that'd be worth it.
Well, I won't lie. I went on the website. I was like, I gotta know how much that costs. I gotta know.
That's amazing. um,
Yeah, gullible.
um, so what's the hardest thing you've ever made? Any like struggles with anything or any, things that you're like super proud of that you like finished and you're like, yes, I nailed that.
I'm so new. I'm not gonna lie. I probably struggle with everything. I'm not like very humble here. I struggle every time. Um uh I think I'm I and it's kind of funny that we're kind of like going back to my kids because I always when I want to make something new, I'll just make it as a gift for someone or make it for my
Right,
own kid. Because no one knows that you're capable of something till you show them, like, hey, I've made this. Um,
right.
so that's kind of how I got into portraits. And
So, so you
that
made one
one,
for your family or for a friend, and
yeah.
now you just got them
And
lined up.
that's kind of how I how I do it. I'm slowly taking over my friends' houses with stuff I make for them, even when they don't ask me.
Right. No, I
That's
feel that way
kind of
too.
how I
I
sell
do the
it.
same thing for my parents, right? Like I just make them a bunch of stuff that I'm good at making. And I'm like, hey, look at this thing that I made you. And they're like, oh yeah, this is
Yeah,
really cool. Like I'm impressed by it. And then like you said, like then other people want it, and it's a great way to kind of promote it. So
exactly. I yeah, I think hardest one. Maybe my son's one, I think, because I cut out very individual squares for the backer and I made them different sounds.
oh no kidding.
Um, so that was really tricky. And then sanding every single side. Any woodworker will. I don't- have yet to meet a woodworker who's like, "Oh, I love sanding so much." If there's one in the comments, please let me know. Like,
Let us all
I'll
know.
fly out to Montreal to do so much sanding.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm with you.
it
It's
took
the
like
worst.
it is, and I think it was like 3 hours of it, and I was completely over it. I almost gave up a couple times, and then I decided to put standoffs and acrylic. I just went like crazy on that one, and a couple times my husband was like, "Do you like?" He's a huge supporter, but he was like, "Are you sure you want to go like this far with this one? Because I feel like if it fails, the whole thing falls apart, and you're going to be upset." He's not wrong.
Right, right. Yeah, I get it.
But I figured it out. But that one was tricky.
Yeah, I was looking at some of that stuff and I was like, dang, like that's impressive. Like one after another. Uh-oh. I might have lost you for a second. Oh, there you are.
Right?
You're
I had my baby monitor go off and it flipped right to it. I'm so sorry.
you're fine. No big deal. I get it. Kids, right? So Katie McJojo asked what your favorite piece to date was. I don't know if that was we covered that already or not. But would love to get your thoughts.
Well, see, so Katie's a friend of mine. So hi, Katie. Thank you for being here and staying up late for this. This means a
Absolutely.
lot. She stays up late for no one, so this is a big deal.
Oh,
Uh,
that's awesome.
I think so. I'd said earlier, like my daughter Olivia's, like her sign was one of my favorites, but actually, I made this mallard. It was an Intarsia piece, so completely hardwood for my in-laws at Christmas. And that piece is I think my all-time favorite because it was the first time where I was sanding something I actually enjoyed sanding. It was so, like, I think because I was shaping the whole, um, I was shaping every piece, like every wing, it wasn't just sanding just to round it off. It wasn't just sanding because it's a necessary process.
Right.
I was turning wood into something detailed, and I think that was really cool. So shaping for an intarsia, I love it. Um, but yeah, that one was great. I think if I could do anything full time, it'd be intarsia pieces, but there's no way I could afford that.
That's fair. But hey, I mean, if you get the right buyers, you can afford anything. You'll be fine.
Oh my God.
How about this one? Six Dog Design says, I was gifted a Porter Cable scroll saw, no stand. I've never used it yet. Worth using if I wanted to try or hard pass and sell it.
I I mean, you're not going to decrease value in it by trying it out. Um, Personally, I think starting with a dual, or even like I've had a friend ask me like, should I just go right for the Pegasus? I really think I want this. I think I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm like, go for the Pegasus. Like at the time, Pegasus wasn't something that was really known. I mean, we're talking 2018, 19, so it wasn't one of the big players yet.
Right, right.
Um, so I'd say try it out, uh, but give yourself a lot of grace. Don't try to scroll like a 60-word sign because you'll get discouraged right away. Just start off with something small. I used to have it back here. It may have ended up in my burn pile, but I just made a big thank you sign for first responders because it was kind of the beginning of COVID.
Right, right.
And we lived at this really busy corner lot, and I just wanted to scroll something. And I scrolled out a big thank you with 4 hearts. Um, those letters were butchered, but who cares? Like it was just like it was a lawn piece. Um,
Right.
and at least they got me a good feel for it. Whereas like I think if I'd started off with something like the logo I showed you earlier, I would have gotten really discouraged trying to scroll something like that.
For sure. I mean, I'm with you. Like, when I was using my Wen, like, I was like, okay, like, keep it simple. Like, understand that this is pretty low quality tool, right? And yeah, I mean, if you like it, then it's worth the upgrade for sure. I mean, definitely, and you can't go wrong with the Pegasus. I'm in love with it already. It's bad. Like, you get on that all the time and just scroll stuff out. It's fun. So,
Absolutely.
let's see here. What's your favorite tool to use in the shop other than your scroll saw?
Oh. Would the Dremel count?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, no, I'm gonna go bigger. My table saw. I have a
what
lot of fun with my table saw.
what kind of table saw do you have?
I have a DeWalt, like just the workshop one.
Oh,
I'll
nice.
I'll carry you over. Hang on. Oh, the fun part of having a smaller shop here. So that's my buddy over there. So it's the smaller DeWalt um, table saw, but I love it. Now, I need to finally like make a decent jig for it, like to really push things through.
Right.
Um,
Like a sled.
but yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm sorry. Very good, very technical. Um,
It's fine. Yeah,
but
I
yeah,
get
I
it.
would like to make that next for it. However, like without that, most of my signs would be painful to make.
Right. No, I'm with you. I mean, it's so like I love my table saw, and it's just so nice to like cut them down to size, right? First off, and then like from there, okay, then you can scroll pretty easily. So,
Yeah. And I find it so cool. And I've learned from like other makers from like this one was from like Lauren at Wildwood Creative that you can basically make this like faux shiplap backer. And I use that every time I can now because I just love the idea of like making faux shiplap using my table saw. It's
right, right.
I love adding that little detail. I've got a huge background like staring at back there that is going to hold the logo that I just added it on. And
Yeah. You
the
got the
only
shiplap for that
thing,
one? The shiplap
yes,
effect?
and
That's awesome.
again, no one asked me to make it with the faux shiplap. I just really enjoy it. So I always like,
Yeah, it's like your
that's what
go-to,
little
right?
step I'm doing. Um,
That's awesome.
but, oh, I forgot what I was going to say. It's okay for the
So
best.
it sounds like you have a lot of DeWalt tools, is that right? Like, are you a DeWalt girl? Or, would you prefer other brands of tools?
I mean, I'm quite open. The reason I have DeWalt, well, at the time, the DeWalt was like one of the best scroll saws you could get, and I mean, it's
Right.
still it, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
it's still
So
pretty good.
that's the one I got, and my father-in-law actually got me my table saw as a gift for Christmas quite a few years ago. So I guess I do have a lot of DeWalt, but honestly, ideally, you'd want a saw stop, right? Because
Yeah,
that's the one
absolutely.
that's going to protect you, especially a klutz like me. It it is mind blowing to my friends and family that I have all of my limbs still. Like,
I'm
because
glad
in
you
the
have all your limbs, I would say.
thank you. Because in the kitchen, I mean, I've almost lost a finger in the kitchen before opening an avocado. So when I was telling friends, like, and I've got this big cast on my hand of, yeah, I'm getting into woodworking. They're like,
What?
you sure? You sure there, avocado ham, that you wanna start using saws for a living?
That is too funny. Uh,
Um, but no injuries yet.
that's amazing. And I think you might have answered this one earlier. Midnight Scroller says, "How long have you been scroll sawing? I assume."
So the scroll saw, I'd say I first started really using it like 2020. This is like new to me. Just
Right.
after my son was born, I started finally getting into it. And then we've only been in this location here in Montreal for about 2 years. And this is where I really took it seriously and things really took off with it. Yeah. Hang on. I'm going to grab my water bottle. I'm going to
Yeah,
deck out for a sec.
you're fine. I hope everyone's having a great night. Thanks for joining. We've got George Supply Co. really bringing in the action tonight. $20 gift card coming to everyone at the end of the night. So stay tuned for that. Pretty exciting stuff. Ash or Ashley. I don't know. What do you prefer to
That's
go
okay.
by?
It doesn't matter. Either one's fine. If I'm gonna call myself Willow and Ash, I should probably be okay with people calling me Ash.
All right. So yeah, so we've got you're gonna pick a number at the end of the show, and that's how we're gonna give away this gift card. So start thinking
Cool.
about that. The answer is always 17. I don't know if you've watched any of these other shows, but everyone comments 17 because we had some struggles with that in the beginning. So little inside joke there. But no, I mean that's incredible that you've been only doing that for 2 years now. I mean, like your stuff's amazing for just 2 years of doing
Oh, thank you.
that.
I think
Sorry, go ahead.
I think it's like even just saying it out loud, I'm like, oh my God, it has only been 2 years. But I just learn a lot from people online. I think Instagram is an amazing place, right? Like I only have my woodworking account and it's been phenomenal where I just continuously learn, or like when someone has a tutorial coming out, I'll try to buy it from them.
Right.
Um, and the fact that we're all like these makers are willing to share their craft and information, like there's no way I'd be where I am without learning from them. So I think that that's spectacular.
Right, right. I mean, there really are so many incredible people here. I mean, Night Spiller, like another one. Like she does some
Yeah,
phenomenal work. Oak and Feather.
absolutely.
I don't know. There's so many people out there that do scroll saws, and it's amazing. So Six Dog Design. You know, what kind of brand of blades should he buy for that scroll saw? Um, Different cuts, different blades, different cuts. Yeah. What are your thoughts
Okay,
there? I know we kind of talked about the Pegasus or the Bearwood Supply geometry. Yep, right there.
there they
Glad
are.
you got one handy too.
I like slowly was opening the drawer. I was like, I need to get these guys ready. Um,
So
I'll
that's
show
today's
you my
question.
little
Like, how
box.
I need to find a way to. Okay, that's what I was going to ask. I need to find a way to
Get
store.
like a craft box. Actually, bit of a nerd alert. My husband really liked Warhammer and had a lot of these figurines in here and
Oh no,
recently got rid
kidding.
of them. So his hobby box became my hobby box. But to go back to the question, the Pegasus modified geometry blades are where it is at. And it's, how I do it is basically the lower the number would be, the thinner the material. So when I am scrolling, let's say my portraits, I use 1/4 inch MDF. I'll use a number 3 blade. Whereas if I'm using like a 1/2 inch hardwood, I'll go even up to like a number 9 blade. Or I've even used 12 like if the walnut is kind of fighting me on the saw. And what's really neat about these blades is you can buy the variety packs. They come from like, I think it's like 1, 3, 5, 7,
Yeah,
and those will really get you going for quite some time.
yeah, for sure. No, I got like a couple of different variety packs from them when I got the saw, and I've been like testing some out. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Like just to see how they all cut, right? Like I've got some
Yeah.
spiral blades which I've never really used before, so I'm curious to see how those go. Like it's just I mean, there's so many different choices out there.
Yes. Let me know how the spiral ones go. I've kind of been debating. I feel like they'd be amazing for those inner cuts.
Right, right, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I've heard a lot of good things about them. Smacknart, I think his name. I can't remember what his actual name is, but like, I think he's down in Florida, and like he only uses spiral blades, and he's like, you need to get some of these. These are amazing for all those inner cuts, and I've heard they're really good. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool.
let's
I'll
see
get
here.
those next.
Right. All right. So what are some Instagram makers that you kind of look up to, or YouTubers that inspire you? Any particular scroll saw artists that you love to, chat with and check out their work?
Oh my gosh. There's so many, and I think that that's so cool because there still seems to be room for everybody. Um,
Right.
I that's the part that always mind blows me is like people order from me and I'm like, you want to order from me when there's those makers out there? Like,
For sure.
um, I mean, when it comes to learning anything about the scroll saw, I think I'd probably recommend the House of Timber. Um, she has her tutorials are like incomparable. But I've also learned a ton from Wildwood Creative. I mean, there's Living Timber Co. Her templates are like they're some of the best when it comes to florals. I know I'm listing some of these bigger accounts. I mean, Oak and
Oh, I
Feather
love
was
it.
the first account I ever saw with a scroll saw. So I can't mention the scroll saw without bringing Leslie in.
Right.
Oh my God, there's so many. And actually, um, uh, just my husband is like obsessed with anything from the account Wood Sense, which she mixes like she mixes different kind of art. So she'll scroll out the frame basically, so picture like trees, but then in the middle there's a painting.
Oh, no
Like
kidding.
w we keep just debating getting something from her. So I'd highly recommend her. I mean, Mari at Sawdust and Stain, it like anything she makes, I just drool over. Oh my goodness. Sorry, segue here. The wooden elephant. Oh wow. Like you just have their work speaks for themselves. You have to go see their account. I think that that would be the biggest shout out today. The wooden elephant. My goodness.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I honestly haven't even heard of the wooden elephant, so I'll have to go check that out.
I'm going to add
Maybe
it.
I'm living in like 1999 or something, but I, I mean, some of those people, it's like you said, it's amazing the amount of people who do scroll saw stuff and like how much room there is for everyone, right? Like you said, like you're still getting orders, I still get some orders. Like it's insane that like people are like, yeah, like do this for me,
Yes.
and you're like, yeah, okay, I can do that. Like that's cool.
Oh, I find it so neat. I'm trying to, sorry guys, I'm really trying to like type it in. My fingers are froze. Send me a message and I will send you their account. Um,
I'll message you after and we'll
okay.
kind of tag some of these people because I
Okay, great.
here let me get another question up and then you can answer that and I'll start tagging some of them.
Okay.
Let's go with that. Let's see here. Where are you buying your blades from?
So I buy them from Bearwood Supply. And I mean, I'm in Canada and I still I get them here. And what I do is um I'll kind of wait out till I need quite a few. I mean, they send out a fair amount in the pack, so it's not often that I need new blades. But when I do, I try to order in bulk from there because I mean, paying for shipping is understandable, of course, because I mean, I myself charge for shipping, but it sucks. So um, always try to order a bunch of stuff from them at once, and I'll do that about twice a year, I'd say.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like I have gone through a ton of blades already and I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's I mean it's like you know when it's starting to get dull too. You're like, oh yeah, oh it's going.
Right.
All right.
Yes, and like Leslie posted this video today, this reel at Oak and Feather, and it was about when to change your blade, and I know I need to change it more often.
So
When to,
so how often do you that's a good question. So how often do you change them?
so honestly, the blade, I push my blades to the brink. I really should be treating them more kindly. Uh, thank you for tagging them, or tagging Leslie. But essentially, I love the way she said it was when your material is starting to come up through the wood, change your blade. And it really does make a difference. I mean, um, with some of the stuff I recently made, I should have changed my blade sooner. And I suffer the consequences for them. And I will show you if I can.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so the importance of changing your blade. I mean, I made this sun, which you guys
Right.
will eventually see, but there's a piece missing. And I mean, I fought hard enough to get this, and I shouldn't have when
Right.
I could have just been easier on myself and just like,
Just it
it
would
was
have survived.
fixable but preventable.
Right, right. No, I mean, I feel like that too. There were a couple of things, signs that I was working on recently that like, I'm like, you just when you start to push that material too hard, and you're like, what am I doing here? Like that blade, obviously the blade is dull. Like it's time to change it, like you said. So,
Yep.
um,
And then next thing you know, you're pushing a little too hard, and then ding, like it just sounds like a guitar string. You're like, oh, there it is. Yep.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is. It really is. It's like that guitar. You're like, oh, it's done. Game over.
Yep.
Jeff, sorry, I don't have any scroll art to show you right now. I, it's all in process, so it's not even worth showing.
Oh, come on.
Oh no, it's not worth anything. Um, nothing like your stuff. So first, Oscar here, first time caller, long time listener, which appreciate you, Oscar. Help need new excuse in buying new tools for what? In help need new excuse in buying new tools for my wife. I don't think you need an excuse there. I would say.
It's exactly what I was thinking.
Just
You
throwing
could
it out
say
there.
like, hey, I like TGIW, thank God it's Wednesday. Here's a new scroll saw.
I mean, think of it, it's an investment, right? Like all of our tools are an
Exactly.
investment in yourself. So um, just gonna throw it out there. What tools are you looking to upgrade this year? You got any like big tools that you want to buy after you move, of course?
I think the first thing I'll probably upgrade would be my scroll saw, because I mean in no uncertain terms, it's the moneymaker, right? So
Right.
like that's probably what I do. And I think my miter saw might be next. However, um, it's doing its job. I know a lot of people really try to go for the name brand,
Right.
and I mean, I have Mastercraft, and in Canada, that's just like going to like I think Canadian Tire is kind of like Menards.
Okay.
Some
Yep.
I'm trying to find a comparison here, and it's like the lower brand, but at the same time, it works great. It
Right. It
cuts me
gets
a
the
nice
job done.
angle,
I
and
mean,
it makes nice miters.
it works. I mean, it
So
could be nicer, right? But I mean, it works in the meantime. So I get it. You know,
exactly.
here's the thing, right? You got to start reaching out to some brands and just say, "Hey, I'm really in need of a miter saw." That's all I'm gonna say. Like,
That's a really good idea. Or just like tell Sawdust like, hey, I'm not super good with like I'm a super clumsy person. Would you like to save my hands?
right. I mean, and I think you could make your case say, "Hey, you know, I can make some really great videos about my hands not getting cut off." You know, I think that's worth a saw stop in my opinion. So,
Yes.
um,
Yes.
that's awesome. Yes, and it's kind of like a Harbor Freight. Yes, I would say Six Dog. Let's see here. Uh, what's your dream tool after? I mean, do you have is a scroll saw your dream tool, or is there something else out farther that you're like looking to get into?
Hmm.
I know you mentioned like CNCs and lasers earlier, but like,
Oh, yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. A laser would be like dream like I'd be like, you know what? I'd call my mom, be like, I finally did it. I figured it out, Ma. I'm good. Um, a laser, a really good laser. Because I mean that I'm seeing what some makers are doing, like they're mixing the scroll saw work that they're doing with laser work. There's simply things that the laser does that you it's physically impossible to do with a scroll saw. Um, and just being able to engrave my work, that would be cool alone. And we were taught, my husband and I were talking about like a CNC for the longest time, and I've shown him what a laser can do, and I'm like, no, no. And this is to no offense to CNC owners. I have mad respect for it. I think for me, the laser, oof, chef's kiss.
yeah, I mean, Temecula says a small orter is cheap and a workhorse. I mean, I'm with you. Like, I would love to get some kind of laser. And yeah, like you said, I think it would be a cool combination between laser and scroll saw stuff. I mean, we'll see what's in the works. But I mean, there's a lot of things up in the air, right? Like, oh, there's just possibilities are endless.
Yes,
We have
yes,
some of the tools. So let's see here.
absolutely.
Six Dog said if you need help with your laser, he's your guy. Once you get it, I'm just gonna throw that
Perfect.
out there.
Thank you.
Let's see here, and I don't know if you mentioned this earlier. I think you mentioned it might be Pegasus, but is there a scroll saw that you're wanting to upgrade to other
Yeah,
than the
I
Pegasus?
get this.
Is it the
I get the
Pegasus?
Pegasus, and I'd probably just go right for the 30-inch that's available now, just to make sure, like, if I upgrade, then I upgrade for a while.
Right.
Um, but that'll be for a while. Like, I still have some goals I'd like to meet for this year, and I think if I meet them, I might just like reward myself with something like that. We'll see.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I've met quite a few so far, which is really exciting.
That's
Um,
awesome.
like one of my like big ones that I'm hoping I can do, but I'm just trying to be realistic here. I have a very bad tendency to put way too much on my plate, but I'd love to actually like make a bunch of stuff for a Christmas market.
That's
And I think that'd be really cool to like show my work to people I haven't met yet, or like, or just see people in person who want my stuff. Cause I mean, I remember going to so many shows when I lived in Edmonton, like these art fairs, and buying boards from them, and I was mind blown by what they were making. And these are things that I'm like, I think I could make that now. I think I'm there.
right.
Like I think I used to make charcuterie boards and stuff like that all the time, but I think showing people my custom stuff while I'm there, while they can pick up something that they can have for their home too, would be really ideal.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool. So, have you done any of those before? Have you done ever done a craft show or something like that?
Not yet. Not
Okay.
yet. So it
So
would be a
Christmas
really
is
big
your goal
one.
then. I get it.
Yeah, I think a Christmas market, and I mean removing removing this summer, so hopefully we can get a place with a half decent place for a shop. I mean, I'm spoiled rotten here. I'm going to cry just leaving my shop. I wish I could just take the shop with me.
Right.
Um, so I'm just hoping for a little bit of a space where I can make stuff, but I have all the tools handy, really. And the cool part about living in Ontario again is that I'll have access to lumber yards again, which will be amazing because the nearest one here is a 45-minute drive.
Oh man,
So,
that's rough.
yeah.
That's
Yeah, it
awesome though.
really
I
is.
mean, so what's your shop look like now? Like, what are you working on the garage or where are you at?
So I have a house that has an attached garage that we
Okay.
usually keep our car in. And the previous owner used to be a general contractor.
Oh,
So
no
he built
kidding.
this whole separate garage in the back. When we saw this house for sale, we were like, it has a wine cellar and a separate garage. It's ours. Like we
Done
gotta get our
deal.
hands on it.
Yeah.
So there was some compromise because I just wanted the whole thing for myself, I'm not gonna lie. And then I compromised with my husband that there could be some space for like functional stuff like bikes. And
That's
then the
awesome.
rest is mine. So
That's
I mean,
amazing.
this is all like my collection,
That's
I
awesome.
call it. And I've got like my little miter station here. And he actually had like a whole built-in workbench. And you're probably gonna peek at a couple things I'm making here. And then it goes out to the door there. So I'm
That's
really
cool.
spoiled.
That's
The
so
only thing
nice.
missing is
That's
a
really
heater
cool.
there.
The only thing is that
Okay.
it's freezing.
Yes. Oh my. Oh, the amount of like the productivity that I could have if I had a heater in the garage. And you know what? I think like next shop, if it doesn't have a heater, it's the first thing that's getting upgraded. Never mind a Sawdust, never mind a Pegasus. I need warm hands.
That's fair. I mean, it makes life so much easier for sure. So
Yeah.
that's so Better Than Okay asked, how do you sand your scroll saw work? Like, is there a good way to do it, especially some of those like smaller pieces and inner edges?
Yes. So I have my Dremel that
Right.
I use as a rotary tool, and that's my handy tool. But I mean, really, you don't have to like get a rotary tool right away, especially I'm not sure if you're just starting. But uh, I have my micro zip, and I mean, this is like $7 at Lowe's, Rona. What do you guys,
Lowe's. Yeah, we got
depending
Lowe's.
what
Yeah.
country you're in.
Yeah, yeah.
Lowe's, Rona, Home Depot. And then I use 220. And actually what I do is I just buy these big sheets of 220 and I just cut the size I need.
Oh, nice.
Um, and I mean, you can really get creative with this stuff. I will wrap a piece of sanding paper around a pencil, and that's going to help me get into my inners. There's so many ways you can do it. There's a lot of right ways to do it. There's not a lot of wrong ways. Going with
Right.
the rake grit is really important, I'd say. And not forgetting, like, not forgetting, not forgoing the sanding. It's critical. It sucks. I think we can all collectively agree. Sanding is painful, especially with small letters. Like, oof. But it's a part of the process. And actually, I also have my belt sander that I
Nice.
use for my bigger pieces, and that has come in clutch. I have this piece that I'm working on right now that I'll let you peek in on because it's really hard to tell what it is. Wow, my shop's a mess. Don't fall, don't fall. Okay. And had I not had my belt sander, I think I would have cried sanding all of these with my Dremel. But
Oh my God. Oh, that's a
it's about
lot.
171 pieces.
Oh my
Um,
God.
so just being able to like grab a piece. Did I lose my nails? 100%. No nails, okay? Um, but it was worth it.
And you said you stand up to 220?
Yeah.
Yeah.
220 is basically all you need. And the fun part with like scroll saw stuff, especially MDF, you don't need to scroll up to anything. Just, excuse me, start with 220. You're good to go. Wait, I just saw someone say standing's my fave. Oh man. Okay. Know what? New best friend. Come move in with me.
I think everybody's joking. I've seen quite a few comments saying, "Oh yeah, I love sanding." Then like, blah. It's great. All right, so we got 10 minutes left. A couple more questions. If anybody else has questions, feel free to throw them in. We'll get one or two more questions in here, and then we'll do the giveaway. But do your commissions pieces range in price based on material complexity or said piece? How do you kind of set your price on those more complex
So
pieces?
I think like one of the most like slightly annoying questions I get in my inbox is like, um, how much do you do you charge for a piece? And it's everything is but they want something custom, right? We're not talking like
Right,
something
right.
generic. And they're like, how much for this? And I'm like, oh my God, there's so many factors that go into it. I used to underprice myself heavily. We're talking
Okay.
like charging $2 an hour. It,
Oh my
I
gosh.
get it, it's a hobby, but charge your time.
Yep.
And the one of the best things I did, and this can go to any maker, it doesn't have to be a scroll saw artist. One of the best things I did for my business this year was getting the pricing template. It's a Google Sheets, so an Excel spreadsheet that Jess at the Living Timber Co. made. And I,
That's awesome.
if you're going to call anything an investment for your business, it's that because it let me price everything out by material and how much time I was going to spend on everything. And some of it, of course, is guesstimate. But once you make one of those and you price that out, you can always go back and adjust the numbers. So if I know I'm going to spend an hour sanding on your piece, an hour scrolling, but then I realized that those little portraits, the family portraits I make, I used to just say, oh, it's going to take me half hour for a glue up. Those take an hour and a half. Like
Oh my God. Yeah.
those
Those
little
are tough.
pieces, like the glue up is some of the longest parts. Um, and I've actually started charging myself appropriately. And I mean, I would make something for a friend and they would overpay me being like, you're undercharging. Hello, we're trying to tell you.
Right,
Um,
right. That's
and I
nice.
think
That's
the
cool.
like one of the best signs or one of the biggest signs that you're charging yourself accordingly is when people and I it's seems weird to say, is when people start walking away from your price. They're like, "No, you're outside my budget." You're like, "Okay, that's okay. Like, I'm not going to fit in everyone's budget. This, but I do. My time is valuable. This is time that I'm not spending doing something else."
Right.
So, um, yeah, that's a big one. So check out that template or just price yourself accordingly. And always remember, there's always like charge your materials, charge your overhead. I wouldn't be in my shop just scrolling things for everybody if I didn't have these orders. So,
All right. We got two quick questions here. Where do
yeah.
you sell your stuff? Do you sell it via marketplace or Facebook groups or Instagram? Like, what's your go-to for selling stuff?
So honestly, right now, it's either through my website where you can reach me because most of what I do is custom. So either Instagram directly or through my website. That's the easiest way to get to me.
I'll make sure I link that in the description here. So
Thank
stay
you.
tuned for that for everyone. And then last question, any advice for any Instagram owning your or starting your woodworking business? What do you think? Any overarching advice that you have for the world?
Be completely authentically yourself. Do not feel pressure by other people's accounts and what they're making. You start at the level you're at and learn as you go, and go. Your skill will improve from there. And be proud of everything you make. You're making things out of wood. It's amazing. And yeah, don't try to compare your work. Just be happy with what you're making and improve every time. As long as you're learning, you're doing the right thing.
Right.
I think that
right.
that's the best thing. I've either for, and like, I love this comment too, like authenticity is key. Like, don't pretend to be someone else. Like, I had someone call me brave for making for making a reel, and I was like, this, it wasn't brave. I thought it was a funny thing. I used to make videos when I was 12 years old in the backyard, and now there's a platform to do them on.
Right.
It's
It's
same
just
thing.
fun, right? Like at the end of the day, you have to enjoy it, and definitely,
Yes.
if
And
you're
oh
not
my, that's
enjoying
it.
it, then you need to reassess.
Yes, and what amazing advice. Oh my gosh, enjoy it. And exactly, if you're not enjoying it, something's up. Take a break, but just, yeah, just do it for you at the end of the day.
That's perfect way to end it. So I don't know if you remember, but write a number down. We've got, what would we have? 17 people on.
Okay.
Lucky number 17. Pick a number between that amount, and we'll kind of give away a $20 gift card. So stay tuned, everybody. Hold off on your
Okay.
comments just yet. And we'll give away $20 to George Supply Co. Big thanks to them for being a part of the show. You're up.
Okay.
You got one?
Just a number?
Yeah, just a number.
Boom, number 9.
1 and 17. Oh, don't show it.
What?
Oh,
Why?
we gotta wait for people to come up and pick it.
Can we do it again?
All right, we're doing it again. All right, so pick a number between
This is why I can't have nice things.
50 and 60.
Between 50 and 60? Okay.
Yeah.
I have it.
All right, so write that down. And if you can, write it down backwards, and then we'll give it away that way. Because then I'll read off the comments that are coming through, and then you'll just tell us when, kind of show us when that comment comes through, okay? So
all right.
52, 53, 54. Jeff, that's a lot of comments here. 55.
Whoa. These comments are not coming in as fast as you're reading them. Hang on. Who said 53 first?
Uh-oh. It looks like Decima Wordworks. That's the
there you go.
I have.
And it was 53.
All right.
Even wrote 53.
Decima Woodworks. I'll be contacting you afterwards. We'll get you that $20 gift card. Like I said, big thanks to George Supply Co. You can use that with anyone sponsored or who has a shop at George Supply Co. Do you have a shop? Because if not, we need to get you one and get you some merch if you don't have some already.
Sounds good. I'm down.
So thanks again for being here, Ash. We really appreciate it. It was really fun having you on, and thank you.
Thank you for having me and for letting me ramble a lot.
I love it. I love it. It was awesome. And we'll catch you guys next week. So have a good one. Thanks. Thanks again, everyone.
Have a good night, you guys.